Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News with Kim and Lisa. This week on The Real Housewives of Orange County, it seems like Shannon Storms Bedore has officially passed the storming off torch to Tamra because once again, she has threatened to quit the show, storming out of her own party this time, though, at her own house.
No, that had to be a first. And then just like our girl Ariana, we learned that Heather DeBroke takes sketch comedy very seriously. And her rage against the group is coming out as she defends her career and shares her true feelings about Tamra. And then in turn, Tamra is giving Heather a run for her money as best actress in a drama.
Yeah, maybe Tamra can take the drama category while Heather can take the comedy category. But we'll get into that. I know we've been siding with Tamra a lot the last couple episodes, so I am really curious to hear your thoughts about this one. We're going to dive into it all. But before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more Bravo Breaking News. And if you are listening as a podcast, please rate us 5 stars and leave us a review, but only if you love us. No negativity there.
Yeah, just keep it to yourselves. Like if we're not your cup of tea, that's totally fine. But
yeah, and you may not like our opinions, but that's the beauty of Bravo and Housewives. So let's just leave that there.
Okay, so we jump right into Gretchers and Jen meeting up for lunch. I want to ask you, Kim, have you heard this theory that if you put your purse on the floor, you'll be broke?
I have not. Is it only designer purses or is it any purse?
No, I think it's any purse. I've heard it before too. And so I'm always trying to find a place to like put my purse. And sometimes it's awkward when you go to these restaurants. There's nothing, to put it on. There's no place on the small table. The chair doesn't have like a back, so you can't put it there. And there's no hook. And like, I don't know what to do. So sometimes I just end up hanging it off my leg and it's awkward. But anyway, If you go to a restaurant,
was it on Salt Lake City this week that they had purse hooks at the restaurant?
Yes.
Lisa and Heather? Okay. All right.
Yes. Give us a purse hook.
Yeah. Props to that restaurant. I mean, they do big things.
Totally. Okay. So Gretchen is sharing that, after this fight with her and Tamra at the self-defense place, she's like, listen, Heather and Emily were salivating to hear that recording, to hear that footage. I meant it to be silly and fun. And like Gretchen is totally playing up the innocent vibe. I am not buying it. I don't think anyone else is buying it because we saw what actually went down. Gretchen could not wait to share that juicy bit of information that she had. She couldn't wait to get Slade on the phone. And then she blamed it all on Slade, even though she brought it up in the car. And like you said last week, it was totally giving Severance. Like Gretchen says things in cars, and then once she exits the vehicle, it is completely erased. She has no recollection and is like, no, I'm completely innocent in all this. So then we find out, we see this extra scene from the self-defense place. After Tamra storms out, she comes back and goes, oh, by the way, I'm having a spring fling party and everyone here is invited except you, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame her. I don't blame her one bit. I want like a counter for the season of how many times they're going to flash back to that scene in the car with Gretchen saying, when she was in the recording studio, she effed whoever it is, what's his name? Jeff Timmons or whatever. I don't even remember his name, the 98 Degrees guy, but it's
Gina remembers. Gina's obsessed.
Everyone is obsessed. And I don't blame them for that either. If a rumor came out that you might have slept with a boy band member from the 90s, I would be like, tell me more. I need to know more details about this. I would kind of be obsessed, though. I do think that Jen following the wife, which we'll get into, was maybe a bit too far. But Gretchen is not innocent in all of this. I don't know why she's making it out to be. Why doesn't she just come out and say, Tamra said all this shit about me, so I'm going to bring something up about her. Just own it, baby, in the words of Lisa Rinna. Because her skating around this and pretending like she is like an angel sent from above and doesn't do anything wrong is getting really old.
Right. She is using Slade to do her dirty work, and then she is trying to just keep her hands clean. But Gretchen, we've all seen this show before. Like, we know how this works. We're familiar with you. We're familiar with Slade. So I don't know who you think you're fooling here.
Yeah, but I do have to say, so we didn't get much of Gretchen this week. And when it's not Gretchen versus Tamra and it's Tamra versus the rest of the group, I am kind of turning on Tamra once again. We see her setting up, which is really interesting. We see her setting up for the party. Eddie walks in and they have this conversation. She shares that she's getting into a better place with Shannon. Shannon actually texted her about Teddy. And I did kind of appreciate learning this because I remember a while back when Teddy's, cancer situation was kind of, everywhere. I did hear that Vicky also reached out to Tamra/Teddy about it, sending her well wishes. And I do think that this is important to kind of, draw a line. Look, we're on a show and we may yell obscenities at each other that you would never say to anybody in your entire life, even the person you hate most. But there's also real life, right? And like this real life situation should not affect how you treat people like Teddy. You may not like her on the show. You may not like Tamara at the time, but I do think it's important to kind of have some compassion and empathy for what people are going through, even if you don't like them.
Yeah, it's called being a decent human.
Yeah.
And so Shannon and Vicky, by reaching out, even though they're not good with Tamara at the time, like you said, they're showing that, like, look, I know we're in a bad place, but like, I still care about you as a human, and like, no one should be going through what Teddy's going through. And yeah, I think that speaks volumes.
Whereas I'm not sure Tamara would do the same if the other, if the roles were reversed and they were in that situation. But, she also tells Eddie about the pop star rumor. He doesn't really say much about it. Obviously, he must know about this. And she reveals that she finds out that Jen actually followed the said pop star 98 Degrees, Jeff Timmons, I think is his name, his wife on Instagram. Now,
I thought they were saying Jen followed Jeff Timmons. I think she followed him.
Okay. All right. Maybe. Well, okay. So the wife told Tamra that Jen followed Jeff Timmons. Is that his name? Am I getting his name right?
That sounds right to me.
Okay.
Allegedly.
All right. All right. So how do you feel about this? Do you think that it's taking it too far? She admits that she did it to dig up dirt.
No, that was shady as fuck. And when the best part is when Tamra confronted her about it, Jen's like, yeah, I followed him. Well, I thought he was going to maybe say something about it. It's like, she literally just admitted, yeah, I followed him because I thought I might get some dirt. And like, didn't think that that was a shady thing to say or do. So that was a little shocking to me that when she got caught, she really didn't even think it was a gotcha moment. And it was like, Jen, is something not firing correctly here? Because that was obviously a shady move.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she did feel a little bit caught in that moment when at the end, Tamara brought out her stack of papers and printed out the Instagram screenshot, which is definitely something a 50, 60-year-old woman would do. No shade, but she had to print it out because she's old and couldn't see the actual screenshot. So she blew it up, put it on a piece of paper, and decided to bring it out. And I thought she did kind of act like she got caught in that moment because I don't know. I feel like these days, even though Instagram doesn't tell you who follows who, I feel like it's still really easy to find out. Like, that's not.
Yeah.
And like, does she still follow him? Like, could I go on? Because they keep bleeping the name, right? Why do they keep bleeping the name? Like, they say this name 8, 9 times an episode, right? Even the band name, like, there's definitely some sort of legal issue going on here with his name and the band's name, that they do not want to be associated with this trash show. I say that with love. But we could probably easily just go see who Jen's following on Instagram to find out.
Yeah. And she even said she's trying to focus on all the wrong things here. She's like, why do you know who I follow? Why do you know what time I followed him? And it's like, no, Jen, that is not the point. Like, the point is that you heard about this rumor and then you went and proactively followed this man to try and see if there's something that you can like get out of it on Tamra. So I knew she felt caught, but she didn't seem like uh-oh in that moment. She was just like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, no, I do wonder, was there more than a follow? Was there perhaps a DM sent or any sort of communication?
A little DME, definitely
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're jumping ahead. Let's rewind. Let's come back. We are now doing repairing pottery. What was it called? Kintsugi. And I just say I love this scene solely because we found the one thing that Heather Dubrow is not good at. And that
is it just one thing that she's not good at?
Okay, fair. But you know, fancy pants, like there's not a lot of things that she's not good at, right? And Kintsugi seems to be one of them. First of all, she's smashing that thing multiple times when you're only supposed to do it once, and then she's like having a hell of a time putting it back together. It's just a gluey mess. And you know, Shannon with her broken readers, meanwhile, seems to be doing a bang up job. But I like these two together, and I'm like, they've had so much conflict in the past, and it feels like they've never truly gotten to a place where they can actually be friends. And like, I wish we would get there. It seems like every time we do get there, it's like we get almost to the top and then it falls back down again. So just seeing this scene of them, like, you know, moaning while singing and laughing and having fun together, I was like, this would be a great like power duo.
Well, they're actually sitting together in the after show, right? Because it's Tamra, Emily, and Gina in one, the three of them, Katie alone on the after show, right? And then I think it's Shannon and Heather together in the after show, which does tell me like maybe their friendship is in a better place. And it's almost like because of process of elimination, like because they're not good with, you know, Heather's not good with, well, after this episode, Tamra, Gina, Emily. So who else for her to sit with other than Shannon?
Right. She's not going to sit with Katie.
Oh, yeah, no. So then we also see Gina and Heather shopping. And I gotta say, Gina did say what we have been thinking for the past 5 weeks. You really slept in Heather Dubrow's living room. I'm glad somebody called that out because, and we weren't the only ones that thought that was insane because nobody else seemed to have a problem with it.
Yeah. So I guess that answers our question. I don't know. I'm still of the thought that like they went to sleep there for the cameras and then got up and moved or like went home. But maybe
we saw them waking up.
Oh, we did?
Yes, we saw them waking up, taking the eye masks off. Remember, Heather pressed the button and the drapes rose up. They slept there. Honey. There's no doubt in my mind. So, yes.
It's like Camp Dubrow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? They were roughing it. The Salt Lake City girls are going to actual campsites in an RV. These ladies are sleeping in a living room. Like, I don't know how I feel about this direction. I want luxury on my screen with my housewives, but okay. All right, they did it.
They did.
And did you notice how they cut from Shannon and her broken readers to the Alice and Olivia store, and the first frame was a mannequin with glasses on that were not broken?
Classic editing move. I do love those quirky transitions, like throwing shade, but you know, in a fun way. We also In this scene, we get Gina obsessing over the rumor. She's like, this is a millennial moment for us. Like, she shares that she actually has a picture with the wife of the 98 Degrees member, Jeff Timmons. And so it's all very connected. Oddly, I guess they live in Orange County, and I guess they're connected with multiple, housewives on the show. And then we get Emily. Now, Emily, this episode, I take issue with. She's just, there's a way to kind of talk about people behind their back or bring things up in conversation that you kind of want to pass along that other people have said in a more natural way.
Yeah.
But Emily, there's nothing natural about it. She's just out there being like, well, so we played this game. Who do you trust the least? And Heather said Tamra, and so did I. And it's like, you just brought that up out of nowhere to further the story and to get that out in hopes that Gina will tell somebody else. It's like, I see what you're doing here. You're not being very, natural about this.
Yeah. And I'm actually having a bigger problem with this overall. I feel like Emily does this a lot, and now Heather is doing it on Salt Lake City, where all the nuance is lost and they've gone from chess back to checkers, because it's literally just like, oh, here's what happened. I said this. And they're not even pretending like, oh, but don't say anything, oh, I don't want this to get back to Tamra. Like, she's just coming out with it. And then she's saying it to Tamra's face, which, okay, we all say like, don't talk about me behind my back. Like, say it to my face. And that's what Emily's doing. But at the same time, it loses all of the nuance of like an actual conflict, because let's be real, no one does that in real life.
Yeah, no, I have an issue with that. We'll get to Tamara's party in a second, but let's talk about the tattoo parlor and what went down there, because that was like a bit triggering to watch.
No.
Yeah.
That was wild. I listen, I don't have any tattoos, but like, does that happen? Like, is that I mean, the tattoo parlor did not seem phased at all. So like, that makes me think, I guess this happens more often than I've realized, but he almost looked like he was having a seizure, the way his body like was kind of stiffening up. That was really scary to watch. And I felt so bad for Jen. You could tell, like, he kept saying, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. And then I just felt really bad, because this 18-year-old kid is now like having this broadcast to the world where, oh, you're not tough enough to even get a tattoo, dude. Like, you fainted getting your tattoo. Like, how are you going to cut it in the Marines? And I just like feel bad, because when you're 18, like, kids are stupid and guys are dumb anyway. But that was really scary.
Really scary. I mean, if I were Jen in that moment, you could tell she was freaking the fuck out. Like, she was so concerned, as would I be, but he seemed to snap out of it pretty quick. I don't know. Luckily, it appears they were done with the tattoo, so he doesn't have like a,
half done.
Yeah, a 7-7, 2 filled in and 2 without. So I don't know, but that was scary. That was scary. I hope that he did give consent for them to show that. But I am liking to see this side of Jen more with her kids. We're definitely learning more about her dynamic with them, how they feel about Ryan. They seem to love Ryan. Of course, they were questioning him at first, but, like Jen said, like, let's show them, about our relationship and about how you can really, kind of step into this role for them. And they really seem to love him. So I don't know. I'm kind of back on team Jen and Ryan.
It definitely gives me hope for them, because I feel like if you're divorcing your kid's dad and then you get with someone new and you have boys, especially like teenage boys, young adult boys, they're probably going to be the toughest critics on your new boyfriend, right? And so the fact that Ryan has sort of won them over, I think that says a lot about him. And when she tells the story, she says, that Ryan basically said, like, I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to keep showing up. And like, eventually they're going to understand that this is who I am. And like, I'm not going anywhere. And they say, he treats you really well. He treats us really well. So I don't know. I really liked hearing that, I guess.
Me
Maybe,
too.
maybe she is making the right decision.
Me too. Even though she still seems like a little bit, questioning it. But anyway, okay, let's move on to the spring fling party. So Tamra is hosting a party at her house. It's very cute. We see her getting ready. But then we pan to Gretchen, who is obviously not invited. Shannon calls Gretchen, which is kind of interesting. Like, we haven't really seen them be super close this season, so I don't really know why Shannon is the one FaceTiming Gretchen in this scene. But she's having a family photo shoot at a beautiful OC location. It's very cute. However, I have one issue with this scene, and it is the bunny. Because they're posing together and her daughter is holding this bunny, right? And you're like, oh, they have a pet bunny. Like, that's super cute. Like, it's like a family photo shoot. But then Gretchen is holding it on her own. And she's like, is this bunny going to like pee or poop on me? Which makes me think that she doesn't know this bunny. So did they rent the bunny specifically for this photo shoot?
I believe the bunny was a rental bunny. I believe the photographer showed up and said, I brought the bunny.
Like, so it's just like a prop bunny for photo shoots that the photographer brings. Okay. Is this a normal thing for family photo shoots?
I don't know if normal is a word I would use to describe any of this. I don't know. I think most people usually bring like their own pets. I don't know. Maybe they don't have pets. I think it's a cute thing. I do remember, you know what this reminded me of? So there's a picture of my brother when he was like maybe 5 or 6 years old, and it was school pictures, and they had a prop bunny, a real prop bunny. And they're like in the grass and he's holding the bunny. And then I remember like, that's how we found out my brother was allergic to bunnies, because he was like broke out in hives.
So it wasn't like a school pet bunny.
No, it's just for the photos. Yeah. So maybe it's a market that, we just aren't aware of yet.
Rental bunnies. Okay. All right. I just, that did take me aback for a moment.
I had issue with all of the pink. Okay. And I love pink. Pink is probably my favorite color. This was too much pink. Okay. We have Slade in an all pink suit, Gretchen in all pink dress. The little girl can wear pink of all she wants. But like, it was, I think my problem was with Slade's outfit. I'm sorry.
Well, what do you expect when her confessional looks like that? I mean, come on. No surprise there.
But then he answers the phone. Gretchen's answering service. Like, oh, I'm such a nice guy.
That man, like every time we see him on screen, it's just like a wah wah. Like I could do without that for sure.
Yeah.
So Gretchen is not coming to the party, but Emily walks into the party. She's the first to arrive, and the first thing out of her mouth is about Gretchen. She walks right in, knows exactly what the script is that she's going to say about the slumber party, about how Gretchen, she acts all Christian and prayed before the trip, yet she, talks about you sleeping with this guy. That's not so Christian. And Tamra says she's hiding behind the Jesus curtain, which I don't know. I think might be a little true here.
Well, do you remember when Tamra went through her like born again Christian?
Of course, the baptism.
Yeah, the baptism in the pool and everything. And then it was like, I'm pint-sized, baptized, and highly prized.
This is true.
I feel like Gretchen is in that phase. And listen, everyone can do what they want, but it does seem a little bit performative to like say a prayer on camera, like with your family before you're like getting into the car. I don't know. I feel like anytime someone is very, oh, I'm such a Christian girl. Oh, I can't do voodoo and blah, blah, blah. But then it's like she's acting in a way that is definitely not what her Lord and Savior Jesus would, want. It's too hypocritical for me.
Yeah, no, and it's giving like the trolls online. Like you'll get the nastiest comment, and then you'll go and click on the profile on Instagram, and it's like Jesus saves with the
Right.
cross and like
Right.
a psalm, quote. Like, okay, maybe you need to look inward a little bit.
Right. Right. 100%. And so, okay. And then Gina's like, yeah. And then I'm sorry, not Gina. It's almost like Emily had, like you said, a script that she needed to get these bullet points out before anything else so that no one could say that Emily was talking behind her back because no, I told you to your face. So she's like, and then we played this game. Who do you trust the least? And I said, I don't trust you. And Heather said it too. And Tamra's just like, I'm sorry, like, what is happening? Like, what are you saying? And her first reply, I am loyal to a fault. Tamra, girl, come on now.
Come on. I mean, that's your first response. Like I said it before and I'll say it again. Just own it.
Just own it.
Own it that you've made mistakes. Own it that you've been a shitty friend. Don't say, oh my gosh, I've never done anything bad to you. I've never treated anybody in this group bad. It's like, roll footage. Like, what?
I got 12 years of footage.
Yeah. And then the first storm up the stairs, like, okay, Emily's been here for 5 minutes and Tamra is already storming out.
Left with the baker. That baker, oh my God. We need to pay for her therapy sessions after this because she's just sitting there trying to like prep the cakes while Tamra is like losing it, storming up the stairs. Then Emily's like, I don't know what to do. This isn't my house. And the baker's like, I'm just going to keep frosting. And then when we come back and Gina arrives, we see Emily's just confiding in the baker. And it's like, this poor woman, whose name was Lisa, apparently. This poor woman is just like, I don't know what you want me to say here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, then we get Tamra storming back in, ignoring Emily.
Yeah.
And like again saying, you hurt my feelings. I do nothing but support. And it's like, Tamra, no, don't do this. You're losing me. You had me. I was at your side the past few weeks. But the second that you try to say that you're an amazing friend and you do nothing but support, nope, sorry, gone.
We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. And that is the problem. And Shannon calls it out and Heather calls it out. She can dish it. She cannot take an ounce of it. And that is Tamra's downfall at the end of the day. Like, yes, she can be super mean and go low and be shitty and blah, blah, blah. But like, you can come back from all of that as long as you hold yourself accountable. And she just can't seem to do it.
Nope, she can't. Even with all of that therapy, accountability is probably one of the top things that we look for in a housewife that is a redeeming quality, even when it's like the worst person in the whole world. If they take accountability, there is, an opportunity for us to forgive and move on.
Yes.
But there
how is she best friends with Teddy? Miss accountability.
Right. Like accountability coach.
Yes. Like, I don't get, I don't get it. Like, she just has to be a little bit contrite and a little bit realistic with what she has done and like come to terms with that. And it's just, I don't know. She's gonna stay on this high and mighty, like, I've never been anything but a good friend to all of you. And
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Though I did agree with her on one thing, and that is when they talk about the boy band rumor, and Heather's like, look, even if it's not true, I don't like know Gretchen to lie. And like, this is her truth. She believes it to be true. And Tamara's like, well, what's the difference between her and Katie? And I'm actually glad that she said this because it's the same exact thing. There is a double standard because Katie also believes this to be true, whether it's true or not. Like, to use that as like, oh, it's okay because even though it's not true, she believes it to be true, which is like bullshit to begin with. But why can they say that about Gretchen and not about Katie? I don't get that. And then Tamara shares that she's actually going to be sitting down with Katie.
Yeah.
And Emily is pissed off about. Why is Emily so pissed off about this? When did Emily become the leader of the group and can tell everybody who to hang out with and who to sit down with and who to film with? And like, what is her issue with Katie? Because she set the lie detector test up. Is this why Emily is so up in arms?
Maybe it's like, I proved her, to be a liar to everyone. And, you can't go against my decree. But there's a pattern in this episode particular. Like, everyone is overreacting about everything. Okay. Tamara's overreacting about I don't trust you. Emily's overreacting about Tamara sitting down with Katie. And then Heather is completely overreacting about this comedy thing. Okay. Granted, Shannon was being messy with, divulging what they talked about with Heather. But I feel like if Heather watches the scene, it was completely like different than how it's being portrayed to her. They weren't sitting around talking shit, being like, ha, ha, ha. Like, Dubrov's a terrible actress and she'll never make it in this town and blah, blah, blah. It was, it was just like, oh, like, didn't realize that was Heather's thing. Okay, not sure I can see her doing that, but like, okay, girl.
Says everybody on the entire planet would say the same thing, that they cannot see Heather Dubrow doing comedy. Is it that serious? No. Like, Heather is so sensitive. She takes these things like accusing her of calling the paparazzi and really takes it to heart. Like, it's like a punch in the gut to her for them to be like, well, I can't really see Heather Dubrow doing comedy. And then she brings up like her sitcom career, that she was a sitcom actress. Sorry, I can't see it. I guess I should go back and watch.
I mean, she can deliver a line, sure, but that's completely different than doing sketch comedy or stand-up. Like, sure, Jennifer Aniston is a sitcom actress, but like, sorry, I can't see Jennifer Aniston doing stand-up comedy. Like, they're two different things.
That's a great analogy. That's a great comparison. Great actor, great actress, award-winning ? I don't know. But I was about to say award-winning.
It's not very well paid.
Yes, acclaimed. Yes, one of the top actresses. But does she do stand-up comedy? Is she funny? Would people describe her as a comedian? No.
Could Jennifer Aniston hold her own at the Groundlings? I'm not so sure. No. Like, that is really hard. That is a very different skill.
No, but did you know that you actually have to audition to get into the Groundlings? And Heather Dubrow got in?
I mean, good for her, but just don't be so insecure about it. She is such a perfectionist that, like, the second someone, notices like a tiny little scratch in her armor, she just goes nuts. And it's like, Heather, is it just because she knows she doesn't really have anything else going on with a storyline? So she's like, I'm going to take any little thing and blow it up. Like, is that her MO?
It definitely seems like that. I don't know why she's taking such issue with this. I mean, it's definitely a little much. It's overreacting. But hey, if this is like a glimpse of her acting, she is, doing quite well in the drama department, as you said. So
yeah,
I don't know. But, we get kind of like the cake making and stuff. And I guess they were able to put aside their, issues for that. Has got to be one of the most awkward things, to go from screaming, yelling at each other to, okay, guys, now gather around. We have to decorate our cakes and act like we love each other, like, because we have to do the activity that production planned for us. Like, it's got to be like, I'm surprised they all stood there and did that, to be honest.
I can't believe the cake didn't go flying.
True. I know. A cake in a face during that scene would have been top tier Housewives. Like, why somebody didn't have the nerve to do that? Like, Tamra should have done that. Sorry.
I felt bad for Gina, honestly, because she walked in and was like assaulted by Heather. And she was just like, all I said was like, I didn't think of you as a comedic actress. And then you realize that Gina at one point realizes she's not going to win this fight. And it's easier for her to just say, Heather, I'm really sorry I hurt your feelings, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is it just hurt Heather's feelings. And so she's like, okay, we're good. I'm sure you're the best comedic actress like there ever was. Like, great.
Yeah. Like, there's no, like, is it true? Is it not? Did she say that? Did she not? They said it. Heather's pissed about it. They should just apologize and move on. But, Heather's all up in arms about that. But she's also, this kind of, sparks her bigger issues with Tamra, right? Because then she kind of, goes off on Tamra. Well, Tamra storms off again. She follows Tamra, and it's like, okay, like, we got to talk about our issues beyond this, because you keep saying you're such a good friend. However, like, during those times where I was reaching out to you after New Orleans and we met up, like, you weren't very nice to me. You were not very nice to me. And I am glad to see Heather Dubrow finally standing up for herself against Tamra, because earlier this season we were talking about how she was too up Tamra's ass, and why is she always siding with Tamra no matter what happens? And so I was glad to see this moment.
Yeah. And she says, look, it seems like it's very one-sided, right? Like, whenever Heather tries to actually share her feelings, Tamra doesn't want to hear them. Like, she doesn't want to take it in. She brings up the thing about her dad again. I tried to tell you about my dad and you just completely dismissed it. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. The cracks are definitely showing. And Tamra goes, you know what it comes down to, Heather? You just don't like me. And nobody likes me. And I am done with this show. This is it. This is the last time I'm going to film. This is the last time you'll see my face again. And, Heather and Emily are just like, Tamra, don't do this. Like, stop doing this. This is the problem. And you can't just rage quit every time, like, something gets a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit tough. And so it's just, yeah. I mean, she storms up the stairs and everyone's like, all right, I guess the party's over. And they leave.
Have a great season.
Have a great season.
Yeah, like, she really, really stole Shannon Bedore's move, right? Because I think last season and the season before, with the John Jansen of it all, and then, the DUI, Shannon storms once again. I would like a counter of how many times Shannon stormed out of a scene. But Tamra, I think, is catching up to her, because it's getting too much. Like, you can't just run away every time somebody, comes at you. This show is about conflict and resolution. And she doesn't really seem to, she says that she wants to resolve things with people. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I don't really think she does. I think she wants to keep the conflict going. And it's just Tamra being Tamra. Like, I feel like it's starting to seem like she has a strategy, right? I think I talked about this on my other show, where Tamra likes to go up against the most unliked people, right? When it's Gretchen versus Tamra, you kind of have no choice but to side with Tamra. Now we have Sheena Shea versus Tamra. Once again, you kind of have no choice but to side with Tamra. But then once you get Heather Dubrow in the mix and some other people that actually have some sane, thoughts and can tell the truth and stuff, you're like, oh, all right, Tamra lost me. It's like, just when she starts to kind of make you think twice, then we see the true Tamra again when she goes up against somebody who she can't really compete with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, she gave a hell of a performance. Best actress in a drama last night went to Tamra Judge. Sorry, Heather.
Yeah. And Heather, if you really want us to believe that you are a comedic actress, give us some comedy. Even if it's in the confessionals, a funny one-liner or two, like,
Well, Kim, I think she thinks she does.
Oh,
with all due.
Is that the issue here? I'm still waiting. Waiting.
Once in a while, I'll give a little chuckle, to what she says. But yeah, I don't think she's I don't think SNL is going to be calling anytime soon.
Oh, yeah. No. But yeah, that was this week's episode. What a doozy. Next week, we're getting Katie back. And I am very excited about that. Tamra is going to sit down with Katie. And I don't know. How do you think that's all going to play out?
Well, I'm just still trying to wrap my head around okay, this is the second time that Tamra is quitting. We're never going to see her again. And then yet again, we see her the next episode. So
it's all it's all a ruse. It's all nobody is going to take that shit seriously. So it just seems to be something that she does now. And we just have to learn to live with it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what Katie has to say. And, we'll see where we go from there.
Yes. So we'll be back next week to cover it all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and leave us a 5-star review. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Bye.
Bye.